here to talk to us today about education. As a parent, she's going to do a superb job of it. Ladies and gentlemen, Kirsty Walmsley.
Thank you for that warm introduction, very personal one as well. So, to get started. In 2001, Tony Blair proudly told the people of this country, our top priority was, is, and always will be education, education, education. To overcome decades of neglect and make Britain a learning society, developing the talents and raising the ambitions of all our young people. What a noble speech he made. But it didn't take long for the people of the UK to see that when it came to education, it was anything but a priority. And alarmingly, it has remained a non-priority for every successive UK government since. 2 decades ago, I was barely out of school, just starting into this thing called life. Free from the shackles of school and education, with very little concern for what happened in the education system. However, 2 decades later, I am very much concerned because today it is me that is a parent of 2 beautiful, crazy children of my own. Much like my parents and their parents before them, my children's future is very much a priority, as it should be to all of us. Like so many parents and non-parents across the country, I am of grave concern at how our governments have failed to deliver on promise after promise concerning education, and even more concerned about the long-term effects on generations to come because of the way in which education has been handled throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. Like jobs and businesses, our children have been brushed aside with not so much as a thought for their future or their development. Whilst many teachers and teaching unions protested about their own safety in the classrooms, our children were left at home, caught between the balancing act of so many parents trying to work from home or deal with being furloughed and still having to homeschool their children, most in subjects they had long forgotten or didn't even understand. Education has always been at the very foundation of our society. Great Britain is renowned the world over because of our strong education system and reputation for academic excellence. I'm not sure we can say that today. Our schools were the bastions of safety and erudition, the place where minds were moulded and shaped, where dreams gave birth to ideas that would go on to one day become realities that shaped and moulded our society. Yet today, they are nothing more than the place our children are brainwashed into political and social ideologies that do not reflect the morals and values of our society. In 2021, we have a crop of our children already referred to as the COVID generation because of what they have unfairly been subjected to over the last 18 months. It is impossible to predict the long-term impact on education, social development, and mental health that this pandemic has had and will continue to have on our children. While so many people think that it's just the adults that have been directly affected, our children's education has been damaged immensely throughout this pandemic, and yet we are seeing policy ideas and radical curriculums being implemented that are detrimental and seek to cause further damage to a generation now burdened with the debt accrued by this government. The effects these measures will have on learning capabilities already compromised is immeasurable and will continue to be so for years to come if or when implemented. Our schools must be a bastion for safeguarding our children, a place of education and enlightenment. Our schools cannot be allowed to continue as a place of indoctrination or the place where 5-year-olds are taught about sexual relations against their parents' will and consent. The great cathedrals dedicated to knowledge and learning are falling apart at the seams. Teachers stressed beyond measure as classroom sizes way beyond efficacy of learning, and in an education system that once provided some protection for vulnerable children, many have gone without the basics of even having a hot meal that they would have been provided if they had been in school. But we cannot lay the blame solely on the current government, because our education system has been failing for decades. Tony Blair continued his promise in 2001 by saying, at a good school, children should gain the basic tools for life and work. The problem is that through underfunding, overcrowding, and wide-reaching failures, many schools don't even meet the criteria to be called a good school, and thousands of children have exited the education system without the basic tools they will need. As our education system fails our children, so our society and way of life declines. Our schools are not just the arena for learning our language, the sciences, our history. They are the place where young, fertile minds encounter the arts, discover the beauty of music, the enjoyment of sports and physical activity. They are the place where the building blocks of society are laid. Our schools are where our children learn the value of life, what it is to be responsible citizens who give something back to their community, as Blair said. Today, that can no longer be said to be the case. With cutback after cutback, what are our children really learning? What community are our schools really developing? How much of that has been taken from them by keeping them at home for so long? As a parent, I have struggled to deal with teaching and educating my children over the last 18 months. And I am one of the lucky ones. Many children don't have both parents in the home providing a loving environment that has allowed us to focus on doing what we needed to do, often to the best of our ability, but below the standards of education our children would receive in school. Many children have found a new educator over the pandemic. The tablet, the computer, the television, anything to keep them occupied, whilst many parents struggle to navigate themselves through the pandemic without knowing where to begin to educate their children. Parents across the country didn't have the basic necessities for delivering online classes, or often had children of differing ages all needing computers and tablets at the exact same time. Whilst the government wasted billions on track and trace software that didn't work, what did we invest in education throughout the pandemic? It seems that knowing where the adults were at all times was a higher priority than knowing where our next generation would be going from here. This government have fully failed to understand the devastating consequences their actions have had on our children during the pandemic. They have failed because they have not wanted to listen. They have failed because they are out of touch. They have failed because they simply do not care. This is where we must step in, not only as parents and teachers, but as a party as well. We have the opportunity to formulate education policies based around our children, recognising that every child is an individual and helping them to succeed in the modern world. We need an education system that once again puts welfare and development at the heart of learning. We need to invest in our schools, in our teachers, and in our children. Today I don't stand here as a politician or a political candidate. Today I stand before you as a mother that is deeply concerned for my children, and I know that I am not alone. Across the UK today, in every city, in every town, in every village, right across our communities, there are parents and grandparents just like me, just like you. There are people in every walk of life that are deeply concerned for our children, for what we are teaching them and what they are being taught in our schools, what they will become and what has already become of them. This is not about political ideologies and philosophies. This is not about party politics and political allegiances. This is about our children, their freedoms, and their future.